Hello and welcome to the fourth leg of the 2022 Wonder Diamond League. We are in Rabat, the capital of Morocco, on the shores of the Atlantic Ocean. Rabat is now known as one of the world's great destination cities, and the Medina in the Old City is a designated World Heritage Site, and its impressive stadium last hosted a Diamond League in 2019, so it's great to see so many of the world's best athletes gathered here for what we hope will be another fabulous meeting, following on from Eugene last week in the United States. So much to look forward to. It's a beautiful day, blue skies, temperature around 24 degrees, a bit of a light breeze wafting down the home straight, a big crowd in here, and a couple of races they're looking forward to very shortly. The women's 400 with the Olympic silver medalist from Tokyo, Marilady Paulino, against Stephanie Ann McPherson, bronze medalist from the indoor championships earlier this year. But most of them will be waiting to see the last race, the 3,000 meter steeplechase, with the Olympic champion, their very own Soufiane El Bakkali of Morocco, against the silver medalist from that race and the world number one this year, Lamechia Girma of Ethiopia. But it's the women's 400 with which we'll start. Everybody, of course, after the points for the Diamond League trophy in their various events, and it'll be September before we have the final in Zurich later this year. I'm Steve Cram, and with me this evening, Chris Dennis.
Hello, Steve. Hello, everybody. Wonderful warm evening here in Rabat. Wonderful crowd as well. Very boisterous, very creating a brilliant atmosphere. And we're going to kick off the program here in Rabat with the women's 400 meters. And as you can see, most of the track now in shade. They will come out after about 100 meters into bright sunshine. And, well, let's take you through the lineup in full. In lane 8, Phil Healy from Ireland, 15 national titles. First 400 metres outdoors this year for her. Sada Williams from Barbados goes in lane 7, 4 times national champion, was 4th in Doha at the start of the season. There is the aforementioned Stephanie Ann McPherson from Jamaica, 4th at the Tokyo Olympics, just outside the medals, and then world indoor bronze, as Steve mentioned, in Belgrade. And the Olympic silver medalist, Marilady Paulino from the Dominican Republic, who had that brilliant win over Shawnee Miller-Weibo in windy Doha at the start of the year. She goes in 5. Sophie Becker from Ireland is in 4, part of the first Irish relay team to make the Olympic relay final in Tokyo. Katia Azevedo from Portugal goes in 3, qualified nurse, holder of 13 national titles. Lada Vondrova from the Czech Republic, European under-23 champion, 7th in Ostrava a few days ago. And on the inside, completing the lineup from Belgium, Camille Laus, 12 times Belgian champion, coached by Jacques Borlet, father of course, one of the most famous track and field families in Belgian athletics. So the first track event of the evening, we had a rousing rendition of the Moroccan national anthem just a few minutes ago, respectfully sung by the home crowd. But this all about, you would feel, Marilady Paulino, the Olympic silver medalist, who goes in 5. Stephanie Ann McPherson in 6. Safely away. Well, Paulino, we know, has got a very, very good, strong start. She coped with those conditions in Doha, I mentioned, much better than Miller-Weibo, but it's actually Stephanie Ann McPherson who's gone off very strongly down the back straight. There is a slight headwind as they go into the last 200 metres, then it becomes something of a tailwind, but there's work to do here for Paulino, who is tracking McPherson. Stephanie Ann McPherson, who's made the early running. Has she gone too hard too early? Williams from Barbados there, second left of picture. Now the bend and folds as they come into the final home straight with a bit of a tailwind, and Paulino has judged this, it would appear, to perfection once again. The world lead is 49 by the Dominican Republic athlete, just tying up a little bit, just running out of gas towards the end, just outside 50 seconds. It's another win for the Olympic silver medalist, and there she is, strengthening her grip on the early results of this season. Very much the in-form athlete, the one to beat, and she's come up with another victory, backing up that victory in Doha with another accomplished performance here, taking it comfortably from Stephanie Ann McPherson.
She's been very consistent already this year. I know it's early in the season, but she's putting her races together very nicely, with stark contrast to McPherson, who did go out hard. She knew that Paulino would be chasing her through that first 200, and McPherson has not been running that well outdoors since that world bronze indoors in March. And in fact, Williams got the better of her down the home straight, but McPherson really struggled. Paulino, strong as ever, was watching for the clock. You could see, I think you're right, she was almost kind of reaching towards the line there, was hoping for a sub 50, not quite.
So Paulino takes the victory yet again. Williams indeed did pip McPherson to second place, the Jamaican in third. Becker, a very useful fourth place from Ireland.
So plenty of action in the field and a very good women's high jump. This is Garashenko, bar at 193. We've already lost one or two, but most of the main contenders still involved. Garashenko, the three Ukrainians in this field, very nice clearance. She's been in good form already this year. Just missed a medal last year in Tokyo in fourth place. But so far, that's a clean sheet for her.
So Nicola Olaslaga's familiar face, perhaps not such a familiar name. She got married at the end of last year. Nicola McDermott, of course. So much success in Tokyo. Nicely over also at 193. Got the notebook with her. There we go. There it is. Instantly gives herself some feedback. Marks out of 10.
Just missed a medal last year in Tokyo in fourth place. But so far, that's a clean sheet for her. Coming out for the 1500 metres, which will be the next event on the track.
So Nicola Olaslaga's familiar face, perhaps not such a familiar name. She got married at the end of last year.
Great Britain.
Nicola McDermott, of course.
Back to the women's high jump there. Mahuchik, so good in Eugene last week with much... Oh, very nice clearance there. She just looked a little bit as though she was struggling a little bit earlier on. A couple of attempts to get over that as well. Last week in the rather chilly conditions in the United States, and the rain as well, she came away with a very, very good performance. Set herself above everybody else, clearing 2 meters there. Would love to do the same here. Early days, but nicely over 193.
Rabat-Salé then from Kazakhstan, who took bronze indoors in Belgrade, third in Eugene last weekend with 193. She's in fine form too, and that's why. Really good, clean jumping there from Rabat-Salé, 24 years old. She is a 2-meter jumper, and she needed that. Third time clearance over at 193. She is still alive here in Rabat.
Mahuchik sporting her national colours there. Rabat-Salé then 196, first attempt. This would equal a season's best. Not bad. Still maybe a little bit of a sighter. Got 2 more attempts. I was so pleased to finish third last week. There's a few of the field events I've not quite really started to see the athletes performing, and you know, why not? They don't really need to be at their best this time of the year, but these wins on the Diamond League circuit just keep building the confidence as they head towards World Championships. They're not that far away. Lots of national championships coming up in about 2 weeks' time. 3 weeks.
Ukrainian, yeah, 3 weeks' time. Garachenko then. One of 3 Ukrainians, so strong. And of course, the world's attention on their country for rather different reasons in recent months. But Garachenko maintaining her focus just outside the medals in Tokyo last summer. Here she is with the bar at 196, deep in concentration. No. So first failure for Irina Garashenko. 199, her lifetime best. 2 more attempts to come at 196.
Apologies, I think this is what we've just seen. one or two hold-ups. And the men's long jump, we should have been expecting the athletes out for the final three. They're about a round behind what we're expected. So Gerasimko will not thank us for showing her failure again at 196.
The preparation of the build was so good, we thought we'd show you it twice, but in all seriousness, there's still a little bit of work to do there for Gerasimko. On a Slagers and Mochik breathing down her neck.
So this is Mahut Chikdam with her first attempt. As I mentioned, just not at her best early on. Took two attempts to come with her first opening height of 185, two that we saw to get over 193, and that one's much better. A bit of daylight between her and the bar finally. Calm down, she says. Nicely done. The world's number one. Beautifully over that time.
Yeah, taking full advantage of the absence of Maria Lasitskene, who's off the circuit this year.
So I mentioned the long jump, very good competition with the Olympic champion Tentoglu. But the world's number one is not an outright long jumper, he's darn good. But, these are the introductions. And Tentoglu, I was actually watching an interview that he did when he walked off the track in Tokyo. This is Montler, who remember in the final round he had a jump that maybe looked as though it could have won it, and it was a no jump by the smallest of margins. It was such a close competition. And Echevarria and Tentoglu had the same distance, so he won it on countback. Anyway, Ihammer set a world record of 8 meters 45 in the decathlon in Gotsis. He'd already done it earlier on in the year in Ratingen, and he leads the world in the long jump. The Swiss athlete, very quick on the runway. Whoa, there you go. Now, we haven't had anybody over 8 meters yet so far in this. So Tentoglu, and he would be the favourite starting if you'd looked at the list, I guess, before this, but with what Ihammer's done recently, he is the best around at the moment. Nice effort. Good on the board. They've been struggling a little bit. The wind's been kind of behind them, a little bit of cross at times. There's not, I say wind, it's nothing more than a light breeze, really. But a lot of them have been struggling to hit the board. That's nicely done. 8 meters 11, first one over 8 meters so far.
So plenty more to bring you from the field. Crowd building all the time, and the athletes out on the track for the second event here in Rabat, and it is the men's 1500 meters.
So the athletes lined up, a reasonably big field, 14. We've got one pacemaker, that'll be Guerrero, who's on the outside here, being asked to take them through all the way to 1,000 meters. Good luck, mate. I'm not sure he'll quite manage that, but anyway, about 154 through 800. Katir, well, he was actually born about 160 kilometers north of Rabat in Morocco. He moved to Spain when he was around 5 years old. Trains in Sierra Nevada. I think chose the wrong event at the Olympics last year. He'd run 3:28, Spanish record in Monaco. Jake Whiteman, he ran his personal best in Monaco, moving right up the British all-time list as well. The two of them at their best, two of the best 1500-meter runners in the world. But what about this man here, former Brit, now running for Canada, based in at the Oregon Track Club, Will Paulson, who is third ranked in the world this year at 1500 meters. Watch out for him as well. Jake Hayward, the Welshman representing Great Britain, who was a little disappointed with his performance in Eugene last week, although he got another Welsh record. So a fairly, I was going to say an open race. Katir, for me, would normally start the favourite, and he did perform pretty well in Birmingham, although he finished second, beaten by Kipsang in that race. Whoa, what's going on there? Oh no, 3 or 4 of them have been left behind. There's a lot of noise in the stadium, but I can't believe that they didn't hear the gun. And by the way, when everybody else goes, go.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful coach, Stan Long of Gateshead Harriers, once said, when I say go, go. Go.
Yes, just go.
They should have done. Anyway, Katir's getting himself back involved, just settling down. Guerrero taking them through, as I said, hopefully something around about 57 seconds, 154 to 800, that's the target.
Rather different conditions when I see Mohammed Katir. I can't help thinking of that wet, wild windy night in Gateshead last summer, and he was brilliant, wasn't he, over 3,000 metres. Man for all seasons. Let's just look at this again. Oh, there's hesitation from several and just two of the athletes. What's happening? And they just think, well, we've got to go. Go.
Yeah. That was Habs, actually. It's been running pretty well, who got left number, wearing number 5 on his leg. Anyway, the pace a little quicker than they intended or asked for, but I think it'll settle down on the last lap. So it's not crazy. Jake Hayward loves to get involved early. So the two British athletes, second and third, Hayward. Jake Whiteman, who's run a couple of 800s, began a very good indoor season, picked up COVID, took a little while to recover from that. And I think he'll be really wanting to get this 1500-metre season underway with a good performance here. But Katia looks comfortable, doesn't he? As I said, trains in the Sierra Nevada, where the Inga Britsons are. He's a big hero of the Inga Britsons. Incidentally, you always recognise it, like you said, the flowing locks. I was reading a quote where he said, "I'm just worried about the whole Samson thing. I'm not having my hair cut."
Yeah, very stylish indeed, and this will feel almost as if he's running in his home stadium, as you mentioned. He's born and raised not too far from here, and he's looking very good, as is Jake Whiteman, into the bright sunshine. Slight headwind as they go round the 200-metre start there, and then they'll pick up a bit of a tailwind as they come into the home straight.
Well, hats off to Guerrero, the pacemaker. He's done a very good job. Decent pace through 800. He has kept it going to 1,000 metres all on his own. Jake Hayward just slotted in behind him. Katia and Whiteman waiting to pounce. Paulson not too far away as well. Looks as though he's fighting to stay with this, though. Siddiqui on the inside. Others just trying to get involved. Guerrero finally steps aside, so Jake Hayward's going to find himself in front. The US-based British athlete, with Katia moving into second place. The Moroccan-born Spaniard looks comfortable, and also moving through Abdelatif Siddiqui of Morocco. Would be a big surprise if he got in the top 3 here. 300 metres, just over 300 to go, and Hayward has got them stacking up behind him. Grete from Luxembourg had a brilliant year last year, so many national records, and continued that indoors as well, has moved into 4th. But Hayward still trying to hang on as Jake Whiteman makes an attack on the outside. The first of the big names to show his cards. Katia doesn't respond. Hayward tries to follow his compatriot. So it's Whiteman with a 2-metre lead as he comes into the home straight. And Jake Hayward giving chase. Katia's got nothing here. Gretham is trying to get past Katia, but Jake Whiteman striding away, looking supreme. This will give him so much confidence, exactly what he needed at this stage of the season. It's going to be quick. 3:32.62. Hayward takes second place. Great Britain 1 and 2. A rush for the line for third, which Siddiqui might have just held off the others. Well, it was a great pace, a great race to run off. Guerrero did do a very, very good job indeed. He's standing there, and I'm sure that Jake Whiteman will go over and shake his hand, say, "Thanks very much, mate." And Hayward himself led it out, was always near the front. There he is, and a season best for him, not far off his personal best, but Jake Whiteman back in winning business.
Well, it was a brilliant break, wasn't it, by Jake Whiteman? When he went, he made it very decisive indeed. And you can see from the grimace on the face of Katia, he had nothing left. He was grimacing almost as Whiteman made his move, and I agree, that was a really good, well-timed piece of running. Perfect time to strike at this time of the season. And all that disappointment that Jake Whiteman had in Tokyo last year, where he had an Olympic Games that he really would rather forget. He's responded well there. Brilliant, brilliant piece of decisive decision-making, and a British 1-2.
3:32.62, the winning time for Whiteman. Hayward with a very good performance in second place, and Siddiqui did get third.
Well, athletes in the call room for the women's 100 metres. Next action on the track. In the meantime, the Olympic champion Tentoglu then on the runway here. 4th round jump for the Greek. Oh, that's better. That's the best of the lot so far. Remember, only Hammer over 8 metres so far. We saw that in 8:11 in round 3. That looks to me as though that's taken the lead by Miltiadis Tentoglu. Very, very good height. Excellent purchase from the board. Only giving away 4 centimetres as well, so inch perfect. Enjoying the conditions there.
I was mentioning, Chris, about that interview that I saw where he came off the track and he sort of said, that was the worst competition I've ever done. He's just won the gold medal at the Olympic Games, and he was awful for 5 rounds there, and he got one good jump in right at the end. And similarly, he's come good here after a bit of an indifferent start, so that's the best jump of the competition, and that means they will move to the final 3. And the change of how this works this year, so because Tentoglu is leading, is Jake just gets a few selfies with the locals who love a good 1500-metre runner here. Saïdouita, El Garouge, of course. Two of the great names of the past. So the final 3, Tentoglu, Ehama and Masso, they are ranked 1, 2 and 3 at the end of 5 rounds. They get another jump each. They'll go in order of where they finish. So Tentoglu will go first. He leads. The reason for that really is that if the other 2 hadn't improved on his 8.27, he wouldn't really need to jump in the last round. So switch it around. Tentoglu, the Olympic champion, will be first to go. Yeah, I've never seen anyone, if you get a chance to watch it, it's with a Greek TV interviewer afterwards, and I've never seen anyone looking as deflated who's just won an Olympic gold medal. I mean, he was happy, but he talked about the other people in the competition, like Cavaria, who said, said he was better than me today, maybe he should have won it.
It was a thrilling finish.
It was a great long jump. I mean, the quality wasn't what we were. I mean, we did get 2 841s, and certainly Montclair, I remember, was very, very close. He's just out of the top group today. He was 4th with 8 metres 4. So Masso 8 metres 8. Ehama, the world leader from Switzerland, who jumped 8 metres 11. We saw that earlier, and then took Toglu with his 8.27 in the 4th round. So he's first to go. Just waiting. They've taken the cone away, so I think it's pretty much in his hands. He's got 42 seconds left to jump. His first competition, not in Greece this year. Well, his first outdoor competition. It's not in Greece. He has had a few competitions, but all on home turf. So here he goes. The Olympic champion, final jump of the competition. That looked pretty close on the board. No, he gets a red. Failed attempt for Tentoglu, so his 8.27 will still stand as his best jump of the competition, so the others know that's what they've got to beat. It's close, wasn't it? Yeah, you can see more from that. I was actually looking down with the naked eye. I've got to stop doing that. My eyes aren't that good from this distance. Yeah, well over in the end.
So 8.27 was and remains the mark to beat, and it'll be Simon Ehama, the Swiss multi-eventer, to go next. He needs to find 16 centimetres on his previous best. Incidentally, that 8.45 we mentioned in Gutsis would have won him gold at the last 4 Olympic Games. It's that good. Here he goes then, 8.27. Good on the board. Oh yes, now then. Has he found something extra here? It's valid. It will get marked. And the stadium waits. He's got a smile on his face all the time. He's been in and around the hotel the last few days. Looks to be a really positive character. 8.13, it is an improvement on his own best effort, but not enough to dislodge Tentoglu then from the top of the leaderboard. Very watchable long jumper. 8.13 then, he remains in second place.
Yeah, he was injured last year. Who knows what he might have done in Tokyo. He's still only 22, and from a decathlon point of view, he had a big purse of besting boxes with that long jump involved. And who knows, he might have won a medal in the long jump, but this man did. Masso of Cuba picked up the bronze medal on that day. 8.21 was good enough. He needs 8.27 or further to win this here. 8.8 is best so far, so here we go, last jump of the competition. Masso of Cuba. They've got plenty of height, good speed on the board. but he knows that's not going to do it. So the Olympic champion will come away with the victory, 8:27. Montler congratulates him. Ehammer will stay in second place. 7:92, that last attempt from Masoud means he stays in third. Just didn't get the extension at the end there, did he? He had the height and everything, just perfect on the board. Just see how he lands here, watch. Just drops those feet down, loses 15-20 centimetres at least. So Tentoglu with his pride, not dented by Ehammer, but Ehammer knows that 8:45 keeps him at the top of the world rankings. They're milking this a little bit. There we go. Confirmation of the result, 8:27 for Tentoglu. That came in round 4. 8:13 for Ehammer in that final effort, just improving 2 centimetres on his previous best, and then massive.
One of the highlights of the evening here in Rabat, about to get underway, the women's 100 metres, and an event increasingly many people feel could see a new world record at some point this summer. So much athletics, of course, to be contested over the next few weeks. Let's take you through the lineup in full. Lane 3, Hedja Edu from Morocco, Moroccan champion over 1 and 200 metres. She goes in lane 3. Natasha Morrison from Jamaica in 4, 2-time relay champion. First race outside Jamaica. Now then, this is, for many people, the woman who could trouble Flo Jo's 34-year-old record. The double Olympic champion, making the trip to Rabat. She is the meeting record holder here in the Moroccan capital, and she will be up against Marie-Josée Talou, hugely popular French speaker, of course, from Ivory Coast. She goes in lane 6, 33 years old now. Ayla Del Ponte, European indoor champion, was on our flight from Paris a couple of days ago. Had a chat with her, looking very relaxed indeed. She goes in 7. Antonique Straw from the Bahamas, wonderful junior, 10 years ago. Excellent third in Eugene last weekend. In lane 9, by contrast, 39 years young now, Loren Bazolo from Portugal, 19 times a national champion. Now this you would feel all about Elaine Thompson-Hera, who ran 10:79 in Eugene last weekend, despite a slow start out of the blocks. Rasha Smith got the better of it, but her leg speed and cadence towards the end were absolutely like a blur. It really was a joy to behold. So Thompson-Hera in 5, Talou goes in lane 6. Women's 100 metres. Away clearly first time, and again Thompson-Hera taking a little while to get into her running. Now she's up and running and into the transition phase and streaking away, running away as she did before. 10:83. A new meeting record. She's improved on her own mark from 2019 here in Rabat. Antonique Strawn got left in the blocks. Thompson-Hera comes through as expected. She said she's getting better and better. She's not chasing. She's not trying too hard for this world record. Leave it alone and it will come when the moment is right. And further evidence with a slight tailwind that Thompson-Hera is just coming to the boil nice and steadily, with so much more racing to come.
So Antonique Strawn never even got into the set position. I've no idea. It's very loud. I really do apologise if you're getting any feedback on the sound, because in the stadium, just as they went to their blocks, the PA system had a bit of a tone going through, so that might have been the reason why. It didn't bother the others, certainly not Elaine Thompson-Hera. She went back to Jamaica after Eugene, then flew out here. It doesn't matter at the moment. She's, coping with travel this time of the year. She's racing well. Main thing is she's fit and healthy. I think that shoulder problem she had early on the season, all of that behind her now, so consistently quick at the moment. And she didn't really need to extend herself at all against this field. Still comes away with a 10:83.
Yeah, new meeting record, and she said she doesn't want to be just known as an Olympic baby. She wants that world title in Eugene in the summer.
So back with a high jump. We saw 196 starting to find the athletes out. Rabat-Salé-Kenitra, the Kazakhstan athlete, third attempt in 196. Started really well today. That wasn't bad. That's her best attempt at that height. Sadly for her, takes the bar off, so that will be it for her. I should be really disappointed. That was an opportunity. You feel as though the clearance at 196 puts you in the top one or two. Gerashenko next.
So, final attempt for Gerashenko, lying in second place. Started so well, had a good early clean car, but it's 196. Let's find her out. Here she goes. No, not to be for the second of the three Ukrainians in action here in Rabat. Maouchik, the world lead, the woman to meet. Oleslager's still in contention here, but Gerashenko falls by the wayside at 196.
So the Australian, married earlier this year, former McDermott. Oleslager's now with her third attempt. This would be a season's best, only cleared 194 so far this year. Oh, again, much better attempt. So it's beginning to look like just Maouchik left here. Yeah, actually, when you look at it on the replay, it wasn't as close as it maybe looked at first time. Note taken.
So the bar goes up to 201, passing at 199. Maouchik, she's got the competition won here, a third attempt at what would be a new world lead. Not far off, actually. The only high jumper in the world this year to have cleared 2 meters. That would have put an extra centimetre on top, but not to be here in Rabat. But again, as we said with Thompson-Era, good consistent competing here from Maouchik. Victory in Eugene, and now victory here in Rabat. Another week, another win for Yaroslava Maouchik.
196, the winning height for her. Gerashenko takes second place on countback, ahead of Oleslager's and Rabat-Salé-Kenitra. Morgan Lake, fifth, 190. 800 men just about making their way out. They're ready to go in 3 or 4 minutes' time. A sensation from Kenya, and the Olympic champion from Kenya, Korea, just going through there. Wanyonyi, the 17-year-old, taking on Korea. 1 or 2 others in that as well. Really a cracking race. And from one Olympic champion to another.
Yes, Katie Najot in a bit of trouble here in another outstandingly high pole vault field. The big gang of 4 as they've become known. Najot, Morris, Stefanidi and Bradshaw all here again, but Najot in some trouble. Olympic champion. No, goodness me. Well, she struggled in Birmingham, didn't she, at 4:45, and she's travelled here to Rabat, looking relaxed around the hotel. Again, the camaraderie we often refer to in commentary between the pole vaulters, men and women, is really there. It's genuine. It's such a close-knit group, but problems here for Katie Najot, not just here in Rabat this evening, but in Birmingham previously as well. Shares a coach now with Sandy Morris. Sandy Morris has joined that group. But no mark again at 4:30. Katie Najot, and very, very emotional.
Former Olympic champion Stefanidi of Greece. She's looking pretty sharp this year, and a little bit of a twisted face there, saying, I'm not so sure about that, but a very nice clearance. Third attempt. I was going to say that's probably why we're getting that look of a little bit of disdain perhaps at herself. Fourth attempt? Not in this game. Third attempt, clears 4:45. Stays in.
So So one or two of the big names in the women's pole vault with work to do here.
So we move to the men's 800 metres, a stacked field and quite a large field as well. Pacemaker will be Seradsky on the outside. We've got Collins Kipruto, watch out for him, he's been in good form this year. Won the B race in Ostrava in 1:44.5, almost as quick as the A race on that occasion. Nigel Amos, former Olympic silver medalist. Then the Olympic gold medalist from Tokyo, US-based Kenyan Emmanuel Korea. He's going to be in lane 6. Ferguson Chariot Rotich, who chased him home to take the silver medal. He's going to be in 5. He's 32 and just about half his age. Emmanuel Wanyonyi, still only 17, the world junior champion. He'll be 18 in August. He's coached by Janet Jankowski, former Olympic champion. Well, the familiar motorbike, I say pose, what is it? I don't know. It's his moniker. Anyway, the indoor champion, who's not running very well outdoors. And you saw Tuka, former world medalist, in sharing lane 2. Salrouni and El Ghessa from Morocco will share lane 1. So very interested I am to see how Wanyonyi takes on Korea here. Korea, Tuka there you're seeing on camera. Korea only 6th in Montreux on Thursday. The slowest 800 since 2018. So Korea in the orangey red. I thought that was another 4-star, it was just the drummers getting going. Anyway, very confusing. Wanyonyi just moving through the field there, right on the outside, starting rather slowly. Collins Kipruto is out. Then the pacemaker just moved to the front there. Garcia trying to get across ahead of Tuka. And Wanyonyi, the youngster, just lets Kipruto come across. Korea looks for a nice space there, and he manages to get himself slotted into 3rd. And Amos just finding himself checked back a little bit. Garcia is going to be trapped on the curb here.
Well, this is fascinating, isn't it? Just another example of the never-ending conveyor belt of Kenyan 800-metre runner. Rudisha, of course, Korea, and now Wanyonyi. Looking forward to seeing how he will compete in this Diamond League field against a very, very good quality field.
Wanyonyi is very, very strong runner indeed, and Kipruto's attacked this, has slotted in behind the pacemaker. They went through pretty quick through that first 400 metres. Not silly pace though, and Wanyonyi in 4th place behind the Olympic champion. They'll effectively be 2nd and 3rd now as Wanyonyi decides to go past him. They're both trying to run down Kipruto at the moment. Very, very Tual just moving up. Very good performance from him, getting himself involved now. Has had a good start to this season, and this would be a bit of a shock career, as expected, going backwards now as Amos tries to get involved. Tual made a big effort to get round them, but it's a 17-year-old who's looking the strongest now. Kipruto's not going to hold him off here. And the world junior champion from last year, with Tual trying to run him down, and Amos trying to get there as well. They're all struggling, they're all fighting, but he might just make it. Wanyonyi's going to hang on for the win. The 17-year-old takes it. Not a particularly quick time, but goodness me, is he taking some big scalps there. Korea's obviously not in shape at all. That was a 6th on Thursday, not much better here, maybe even worse in this performance here. Amos is starting to get back into some pretty good shape and run well. Gabriel Tual, the Frenchman, who made the Olympic final last year, in fact ran a personal best in Tokyo, did well. They were all struggling, Chris, down just the last 50, 60 metres or so. It wasn't stupid pace the first lap. It was quick, but you can see there that second lap, even for the winner, was 54.6.
Yeah, it looked as though somebody had just chucked a load of treacle over the track in the last 50 metres. They really were making heavy weather of it, but goodness me, it's been quite a week for Wanyonyi, this 17-year-old, such an exciting talent. He won in Ostrava just a few days ago, first ever race outside Kenya. Today, making his Diamond League debut, toughest test yet, no doubt about it. The likes of Amos and Korea, you can see there inside, right of picture, as you say, in no sort of form at all. Really faded very badly. Tual coming through, Amos there or thereabouts, but Wanyonyi, well, he's beaten some big, big names there, and remember, only 17 years old.
Yeah, ran with plenty of authority, sat just off the pace enough. He probably was around 52 seconds for the first lap, so a bit more even pace for him. That 54 was based on the leader, so he probably went 52-53. So well done to him. Showed how strong he could be in the home straight there, beating Amos 12. Kipruto Korea down in 8th place for the Olympic champion. And there are the drummers. They haven't stopped. Adding to the atmosphere, big crowd in. We reckon, Chris and I reckon, about 25,000 in here.
Yeah, it's always a good atmosphere here, and the drummers certainly played their part. Now, Stahl, of course, in the discus, the men's discus. This is a really stacked field here. Daniel Stahl, the Olympic champion, the world champion, but not having, by his own very, very high standards, the best of 2022 seasons so far, and that's partly because he's slightly off pace in terms of his own standards that he has set over the years. But one Christian Che, who we'll be seeing later on, that's a 64-35 opener for Daniel Stahl.
World champion from 2017 in London, the 31-year-old from Lithuania, Gutsius. First round effort. Ooh, that's not far away. Second in the Diamond League in Birmingham, where that's some pretty good conditions, and for the man we're going to see in a little while now. Beyond 71 metres, Christian Che, Slovenia. Gutsius followed him home on that day, but it was a fair way behind. But 65-15, first round. Takes the lead, early lead.
So Matt Denny next into the circle, the Australian. Australian champion, fourth, just outside the medals in Tokyo last summer. Launches into the Rabat early evening sky. That is just over 65 metres. That could be the early lead here. Season's best coming into this competition for Denny. 64-64. Yeah, he's added quite a bit to that. 65-55, he does take the early lead.
Well, we saw Stefanidi, the former Olympic champion, take 3 attempts to get over 4:45. 4:55 now. First attempt. That's cleaner, that's lovely, that's well done. And instead of the look she gave herself last time, a little double clenched fist, much happier. Stefanidi. It seems as though she's been around for so long now, but women's pole vault this year is kind of, you know, it's there for the taking, isn't it? Nobody really grabbing hold of it yet, if you sort of pardon the pun in that sense. 4:73. Sandy Morris leads the world this year so far.
Yeah, one of the vaulters who has got things right. She was good in Birmingham on the world indoor title as well, and that's why a woman for all conditions. She seems to just produce the goods regardless of the wind, regardless of the outdoor temperature. Just forever positive, wearing those very fetching pink socks here. Again, very positive at the press conference yesterday, spoke very well. 4:55, second attempt, safely over, tucks in behind Stefanidi.
Yeah, well, on the far side, we've seen a very, very good men's 1500-metre race earlier on. Jake Whiteman of Great Britain winning in 3:32. Now it's the turn of the women.
Yes, an event dominated by Faith Kipyegon with some terrific wins already. She's not here in Rabat this weekend, but plenty of talent. Meshesha is certainly worth mentioning. World indoor bronze, part of an Ethiopian 1-2-3 in Belgrade. Look out for her, just 21 years old. Friweni Hailu, who was fourth at the Olympic Games behind Kipyegon, Muir and Hassan. Silver in Belgrade. Nanyondo, Winnie Nanyondo, best known as an 800-metre runner from Uganda, but still very, very formidable at this longer distance. She was fourth in Belgrade. So plenty of the athletes who were successful in the indoor season. Mbai from Ethiopia as well. Jebitok from Kenya, just 20 years old. She's also one to be reckoned with. Lyndon Hall from Australia, and Van der Elst, as well as Courtney Bryant. Good to see Melissa Courtney-Bryant back after that foot injury that cost her a place in the Olympic Games last year. So women's 1500 metres, 3 3/4 laps of the track. Well, the pace, which will be undertaken by Ellie Sanford, left of picture there, the Australian, 63 for the first 400 and then 2:07 at halfway. And it'll be interesting to see whether the Ethiopians work as a team here, Steve, having had all that success in Belgrade indoors. Will that translate to the outdoors here in Rabat?
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of talk about how they run like that, and in Habitam Alemu, Mashesha ran really well indoors, chasing Guref Sagai. Habitam Alemu, she said, after I win a medal in the 800 metres in Tokyo, I'll move up to 1500. Well, she didn't quite win a medal in the 800, but it looks as though she's wanting to make that move anyway, so it'll be interesting to see how that transpires. But I think, you know, it's hard to find a favourite in this race, so it's really about who's going to really take it on, who's going to pick it up after the pace, and you know, really be aggressive in this race, because there's nobody who stands out as the favourite to win.
Well, they've slowed right down here, and by just running wide there to perhaps take closer order. Shesha is in there as well, but it's Alimu who's tucked in behind the pacemaker there in second place. Shesha, who's an interesting character, not seen much of her on the world in the Diamond League circuit so far, and then just behind her is Mbai.
I'd watch for Bobissier as well. You know, I was impressed with her performance in Ostrava. She's backed it up with a good 800 metres. That's exactly what is a 1500 metre runner, the Romanian, who's just slotted in there in about 6th place at the moment. And I think she'll be just watching what goes on ahead, trying to hang on to anyone who makes a move, and then see what she can do in the last 200-300 metres. So she's in very, very good form. With a decent pace being set here. They're quite well strung out, which isn't a bad thing, because it's quite a big field.
So just under 2 laps to go, and it's behind the pacemaker Alimu, and then Meshesha, followed by Mbai. So Ethiopia 1, 2, 3. Alimu starting to wind things up. There is Griffith, the Australian. Melissa Courtney quite a way down the field at the moment. So the pacemaker has gone, and Alimu starting to tread on the gas. No Faith Kipyegon, of course, who would be dominating this kind of race, and Laura Muir, we've seen quite a bit of her so far this season, so a chance for others to shine. Alimu drops out and leaves the rest to the likes of Meshesha. So Meshesha takes it on from here with Mbai. Hailu, a lot of publicity in the run-up to this race of Hailu. She now starts to take closer order as they hit the bell.
Well, they're all making pretty hard work of this, with the exception of Meshesha. Meshesha has set a stall out here, but as you said, Hailu now trying to get back on terms, and Mbai reacts to that, and they are pulling Griffith. These four well clear of the rest. Bobissier actually thought she'd do better than this, is now starting to go backwards. There's a massive gap, and Alemu's challenge just hasn't appeared at all. So Meshesha just looked up at the screen. She's still got 3-4 metre lead.
She has, taking closer order, and Meshesha then, Hailu and Mbai, these three are well clear. Meshesha just trying to get away from Hailu. Hailu was very much the poster girl. A lot of the publicity coming into this race was all about Firweni Hailu, who's got a 3:56.28 personal best. But Meshesha, the bronze medalist, remember, in Belgrade, looks as though she's going to hang on here. Just outside the meeting record held by Genzeba Dibaba. Not particularly quick, 3:57.30. So Meshesha, well, that is a very good victory there for the 21-year-old, coming through ahead of Hailu, and Mbai taking 3rd place.
Well, I think that's a big step forward for her. I think that is, you know, it is. I mean, you said it wasn't particularly quick. I mean, yeah, when you compare it to Kipyegon, etc. I think for the rest of the world, that is a fast time, and that puts her 3rd in the world this year. And Meshesha, though, did it the hard way. You know, when you follow the pace, and then you're the one that's, you're committing, which she did, and then the others had to put in. Look at how far back Hailu is, and she had to put in so much effort to get on terms with Meshesha with 200 to go. She then had nothing to give in the home straight. She's already used everything, and Meshesha was strong enough And actually, if you look how far they're stretched out all the way back up the home straight here. Ethiopian 1, 2, 3 again, but two big names behind her. Mishesha, though, following on from what she did at the World Indoors, is beginning to stake a claim for herself. You put Sigai in there, and now Mishesha could rightly say, maybe I'm the Ethiopian number 2 now at 1500.
Very, very good victory there for the 21-year-old, first outdoor race of the year. So picking up where she left off in Belgrade in March. So an Ethiopian 1, 2, 3. Mishesha coming through. It's a lifetime best as well for her. Hailu and Mbai, the top 3. Griffith for Australia in 4th.
Daniel Stahl finds himself in the unusual position, although it hasn't been a stellar start to the year for the Olympic champion. He's in 3rd place at the moment. Round 2. Is that an improvement? 64.35 the first round. That's better for the Swede. Don't forget, it was a Swedish 1-2. Both of them here. Patterson as well. The Swedish 1-2, the Olympic Games. Sailing out there. That's a little bit of wind there, just maybe helping a little. I have no idea what he's saying. I'm really sorry. Can't hear it, but even if I could, my Swedish is almost non-existent. But yes, takes the lead.
Not sure my Slovenian's any better, but here is Kristin Cie then, the enormous 6'9" tall world lead. That's 71.27, top 10 of all time. Now then, what has he done here in round 2? Is a shade over 65 metres, 61.96 with his opening throw. He is an absolute Amazonian man. He really does tower above everybody. We've enjoyed seeing him and chatting in the hotel, and he just, if you're standing next to him at the breakfast buffet, I can tell you, he just dwarfs just about everybody. 65.65. And that puts him into 2nd place behind Daniel Stahl.
Former world champion we saw earlier on, Gutsius, trying to improve on his 65.15 in round 1. That looks a little further, not much. Might challenge, maybe not, certainly not as far as Stahl, but might challenge the throw we've just seen from Cie. (66.53). So yes, he moved into 2nd place. That's better.
Back to the women's pole vault. Tina Schutte, 3rd attempt for the Slovenian. No, not at all for Tina Schutte, who did well in Birmingham just a couple of weeks ago, but that's a 3rd failure at 4 metres 55. So just to recap, we lost Katie Najot. We saw her go out at 4:30. Really disappointing for the Olympic champion, and very emotional. And there is Tina Schutte from Slovenia joining her out of the competition with the bar at 4:55. So it's a rather fitful start to the season for some of the big names. Tina Schutte has been around a long time.
Yeah, you just wonder why so many of them are not so much struggling. I was chatting to Holly Bradshaw. She was quite pleased how she's progressing after quite a few injuries and building into the season. It is a long season with so many championships for some of the athletes. 3 others have got a couple of championships. So now Nina Kennedy of Australia. Oh, it stays on. Wow. Well, that's going to be great for her, because given where this competition seems to be heading, that's a very important clearance. So Kennedy goes clear. Let's see from this angle here just how much she catches that, and it bounces and it rattles and it settles, stays. Yeah, do you want to have a look? Have a look at this. No way. Emilie-Louise Markov, the European indoor champion at 3,000 metres, and yes, we're seeing the women's 3,000 metres shortly. The next event on the track is going to be the 200 metres.
Great anticipation, and again the crowd making a really good contribution to this wonderful atmosphere here in Rabat.
So on the outside, in lane 8, the Italian De Salu. Personal best that goes back to 2018 of 20.13. Running reasonably well, but somebody who's running incredibly well. Just how's this for a stat last year? Kenny Bednarek, who of course won the Olympic silver medal, he ran under 20 seconds 13 times in 2021. Absolutely unbelievable consistency. And then this year, Jerome Blake of Canada really has taken a bit of a step forward at 26. 20.04, yet to run under 20 seconds. Then we've got Luxolo Adams, another whose best running was a few years ago. He's had plenty of injuries, particularly last year. He was only 5th in their national championships this year. Isaac Nakwala, one of the best 200, 400 exponents there has ever been. 7th in Tokyo with a bronze medal in the 4x400. Carlos Martinez of Dominica made the semi-final at the Olympic Games. Sorry, Dominican Republic. William Reyes, the Swiss athlete, European under-23 champion last year. And then on the inside for Morocco, 3 times national champion at 100 and 200, Tako Mioui. So Kenny Bednarek and Jerome Blake, I think, are the 2 form men. Makwala are always a danger. But at 36 now, he's running reasonably well at 400, but not so quick at 200. But just get the feeling Jerome Blake, he gave up his coach in Canada. He's moved down to Florida now. He trains with Aaron Brown, his teammate. I think he's with the Dennis Mitchell squad. Says, I need to get more consistent in my races, particularly I'm making so many mistakes. I need to be smoother off the turn. Well, he's chasing Bednarek, so just see whether he can keep calm. There's a lot of noise. It's not really helping the athletes. I mean, the crowd are excitable, and they're making plenty of noise down this end of the stadium. I'm not really sure what happened at the top end there. It looked a fairly even break. I'm not sure who that was. Just looking, maybe Makwala. You see anything, Chris?
Not to the naked eye. Nobody stood out to me. There's nobody looking particularly shifty, which is usually the giveaway, isn't it?
Well, there's 1 or 2 people around here look a bit shifty, but yeah, not in terms of false starts. Actually, Cameron's going on Makwala, and yes, on the computer it's saying all by 0.94. Oh, there you go. There's the little move. Just almost imperceptible. You've got to slow that right down. The 36-year-old wanting to get out of the blocks quickly. There's confirmation of it. So far, no black and red card. There's a lot of noise. Very excitable crowd. Whenever there's a Moroccan athlete, we do have one in here. They're going for the green. Just hiding it, but we saw it. It's going to be green.
Well, it's been quite a discussion point, hasn't it, in the last few weeks about the leniency and being sensible when athletes travel big distances to come and compete.
Well, that's fair enough, but against the other athletes, you know, there's prize money and points at stake.
Of course.
You've got to be
rules are rules.
Fair, rules are rules. But for whatever reason, and genuinely, the crowd are making more noise than you would hope for. We want atmosphere. We want people to be enjoying the athletics in the stadium, but just to be a little quieter at the start would be good. Antoine Strong didn't even get into set position in the women's 100. So second time of asking. Blake is in 6, Bednarek is in 7. The other 2 favourites, Makwala given a second life here. And a really poor start there from Blake, trying to get on terms, and Bednarek is out there in front of Blake's got an awful lot of running to do. Adam's going very, very well. But look at this, Kenny Bednarek right on the outside in lane 7 is going well. It's going to be pretty tight on the line, but I think he's just about going to hang on from Adams. 2021. I'm just looking down at Blake as though to say, what on earth happened there? He just didn't get out of the blocks at all. The Canadian has been running so well. Bednarek consistent as ever. Nicely done from him. Well, a little bit of an anticlimax of a race, that I say. I mean, not to take anything away from Bednarek. There was a plus 2 meter wind, 20.21. It's nice weather, it's warm.
Yeah, Bednarek took full advantage. He was talking about having fond memories of competing here in Rabat. It was his first international race back in 2019. He was getting used to boring things like jet lag he was talking about in the press conference, but feels he's a much more mature athlete since competing here for the first time, and that's why another really polished performance, one of the best bend runners over this half lap that you will see. Another victory there. And well, the stats you read out for last year just underlining the consistency of this man, and he's looking good, isn't he, early in 2022.
Yeah, very well done to him. Another good win, the season's best so far. He'll get quicker. Adams, that's a little bit more like the time he ran in Potchefstroom back in February, I think it was. But Blake, who has been running very well, just got left in the blocks on an awful bend, and the race was gone.
So Daniel Stahl then in a battle, as he would expect to find himself, with the likes of Gudzius, the former world champion, and with Christian Che. There he is in the third round, looking to improve on that 67.16. So going in the right direction, Stahl, but he's got high standards, yet to throw 70 metres this year, the Olympic champion. But on to for Sweden on that magical day in Tokyo. Towards 67 metres, maybe not quite as good as his second round throw. Disappointing afternoon. 66.94, no improvement. So 67.16 remains his best, and he remains in the lead.
Here he is then, Lawrence Okoye, who's the British thrower, he's not small. I was chatting to him, and this man came over and said, he's big, isn't he? And look at that, that's another huge effort. That's what that frame of his can do. Looks perfectly balanced, doesn't he? And then whips that arm round. Such good form. And that one close, very close to the 70-metre line. What a performance from him in Birmingham, and the fist goes aloft to say, yeah, that's more like it. 69.42, and that will catapult him into the lead.
Now Nina Kennedy, who's having quite the evening here in Rabat. We saw her celebrate, and have another look at the 4:55. That was the third time attempt at the previous height. Here she is at 4:65. Oh, goodness me. Well, her evening gets better and better. Just a glance up to make sure the bar did stay. It did. And this is quite the evening for Nina Kennedy. I can tell you, the Australian, who is ahead of some big names here in the competition. We've seen the likes of Katie Najot and Tina Schutte already fall by the wayside. Sandy Morris is here as well, don't forget. Holly Bradshaw, 4:65, and that equals season's best, and we're getting towards personal best territory.
So Sandy Morrison, 2 attempts to get over 4:55. That was her opening height. Still looks the best in terms of form out there at the moment. Yes, nicely done. Well, that will keep her right in the lead, and you just suspect that she's got a little bit more to go, and the others are, with the exception of Kennedy, really are struggling again today. They're kind of running into that breeze on that, they're right on the top bend. You can see those flags fluttering on top of the stadium. I mean, it's reasonably well protected out down there. They're completely in the shade now, but there is a bit of a breeze in their face.
Now Bradshaw, who of course had that difficult afternoon in Birmingham last time out with 3 failures at her opening height, and there is another third-time failure for the British record holder. Well, she has had injury problems. You mentioned that she was feeling relatively positive and a bit philosophical about where she is, and still early days in this very long season, as we've been saying, but this was an opportunity, and that must be very frustrating for Bradshaw. I suppose the consolation, Steve, is she's not alone. The Olympic champion Najat is also struggling.
Well, that pole vault continues just off to the left of these women as they would look, and they are lined up on the far side for the 3,000-metre race. 7.5 laps of the track. Sarah Billings of Australia, pace that looking for kind of 65-66 second laps. Mercy Chirono back in the at her best would have been pretty happy with that. 8:21 all the way back in Doha in 2014. But some youngsters to watch out for. Just past a 15-year-old there, Abebe. Aissa as well, 17-year-old from Ethiopia. And then Gloria Kite, who ran 14:49 a couple of years ago, but was second in Montreux on Thursday night over 5,000 metres. And the European indoor champion from Great Britain, Markov, is hoping that she can make up for a bit of a disappointment. Missed the qualifying for the 10,000 metres by just over half a second a couple of weeks ago in the night of 10,000s in London. So again, a big opportunity here. Be really interesting for me to see how a couple of these young Ethiopian runners go. One or two of them, never ever seen them perform at this sort of level at all. In fact, not even outside of Ethiopia. And then a baby there, just as I said, 15 she is, but she has run outside of Ethiopia, ran in Ostrava in the 1,500 metres. Nobody looks that keen to go with the pace that the Australian has been asked to set. So I'm not surprised really. The pace is pretty quick for the standard of athletes who are in this. So I think we're probably just going to see a pretty, I hope anyway, a good race here that see who fancies being the one to chase. And Kitev, Kenya, the first to break and move away. And immediately there's a little bit of a gap appears as 4 of them separate themselves. Mercy Chirono, Iyisa and Abebe, the 2 teenagers from Ethiopia, joining the 2 Kenyans.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good opportunity here for some of the relatively unknown names, particularly the 15-year-old who we're seeing for the first time, Abebe, the Ethiopian, to shine. I should say that Francine Niyonsaba was an early entrant for this race, but hasn't travelled to Rabat. And of course, she's been doing extraordinary things over different distances in the last 6 to 12 months. So some of the big names not here, and a chance for the likes of Kite and Chirono and Abebe. We'll keep an eye on her, the 15-year-old, just tucked in there in the blue on a big stage here in Rabat.
Yeah, I had really been looking forward to seeing Teresa Gateri of Kenya, who is the world junior champion, and she looks a real prospect. Just turned 20 recently and sadly hasn't started. She was on the start list this morning. I'm just checking through there. She has not started the race. That's a bit of a shame, because I was really looking forward to see how she would go today. This would have been a big step up for her, Diamond League opportunity. She only started racing last year and ended up as the world junior champion. Has already run 14:44 for 5,000 this year. She won the famous Ciccamalini cross-country race in Italy earlier on in the season, which doesn't have quite as many of the big names as it used to be.
I like the way you
thank
that
you.
With a flourish. Well, you enjoyed that, didn't you?
It was a big race back in the 70s and the 80s, 90s. All the top cross-country runners, distance runners ran. Anyway, decent pace. Billings has done a good job of just waiting for the field to catch up to her, and is just going to try and lead them round. Kite, Chirono, Aissa, Abebe, all now. The rest of the field have latched onto those 4.
We're approaching the 1 kilometre mark. 3:16 for the first K was the required pace. I'm sure that's right, isn't it, Steve? 3:16, that's what it says on our sheet. 2:56.
I think that was meant to be for 3 laps.
Yeah.
so they're slower than that anyway. 2:56 the first K is not silly slow, but by world standards it's not very quick at all really. You'd be expecting certainly with the quickest women something more like 2:50, 2:52. So 2:56 is solid, and certainly for a couple of the youngsters in here, they'll be right on the edge of their abilities. So they go through 3 laps. With Billings leading, Kite just tucked in behind her. Mercy Chirono, the very experienced Kenyan, the two of them know each other pretty well. Aissa, a baby, just having a little look behind the 15-year-old of Ethiopia, see what's behind her, and she can see right behind her is Rose Davis of Australia. Finished second in their national championships over 5,000 metres. Of course, the Australians, like others in the Southern Hemisphere, some of them already had their national championships, picked their teams or picked some of their team for the World Championships, and indeed the Commonwealth Games for the Australians, something to be considered for. And then the Brit, Markov, just behind.
Yeah, Markov for what, centre of picture there in the light blue top, having a good season. European indoor champion from Torun in Poland last year, as you mentioned. Moved to the US very early, actually as a teenager. Has been based in the US for most of her career.
So Billings has done a job as far as she can go, steps aside, and then leaves it to the others to race, and all of a sudden the pace just drops a little bit again. Markov just decides to move up. Kite says, okay, I don't really fancy being out here in front. Anyone else want to have a go? Mercy Chirono doesn't seem too keen either, and everybody bunches up as they slow right down here. Well, we looked at this field and thought, yeah, there's nobody in this really who you think could stamp their authority on it. In case of racing, as soon as they've lost somebody to follow, somebody to chase, and nobody really with the confidence to take this on at this point. So 3 laps to go. Mercy Chirono finds herself at the front, rather reluctant leader, I think. Just starts to pick up the pace again a little bit.
Markov in a great position here, taller figure there in 4th, and keeping an eye on the really small diminutive figure of a baby there, just tucked in 5th place, hugging the inside there, the 15-year-old from Ethiopia, acquitting herself well so far.
And now you start to look at 1 or 2. I mean, Maureen Costa in a day, a good 1,500-metre runner, not of that ilk anymore, has moved up to run longer distances all the way up to half marathon. Garcia is still in there. She's not a bad 1,500-metre runner, but Amy Eloise Markov has got a pretty good finish. We saw that indoors last year. Wasn't it the best indoor season, or certainly not the best World Championships for her this year, but what a year she had last year. Went to the Olympics in the 5,000 metres, having again last year just missed the qualifying in the 10. So coming around, 2 laps to go now. The lead keeps changing. Gloria Kite from Mercy Chirono, Kenya 1 and 2. Aissa, the 17-year-old from Ethiopia, with her teammate Abebe just tucked in on the curb as well. Davis just moving up on the outside. Costa and Garcia hanging around at the back, hoping that they might be able to find some 1,500-metre pace in those legs. Just a stretch on at the front now from Kite. Sorry, yes, from Kite.
Yeah, Kite starting to just wind it up. Not very much, but just barely perceptibly. You can just feel that there's an injection there, and again they've strung out, and we've got a group of, what, 7 or 8, and Markov still handily placed now, tucking in behind the 2 Kenyans.
Costa made a bit of a move, didn't she, and that was sensed by those in front of her, and the pace just picks up again, and 1 or 2 start to struggle to hang on to this. Garcia the first to look as though she's not going to hang on. Davis doesn't have really the shorter distance speed either. So it's Kite, Chirono, Eloise Markov looking very good at this point. Costa just trying to trail or chase her, but the 2 young Ethiopians, no idea what sort of pace they have. They're still in this, so we've now got 6 women contesting it as they take the bell.
Well, Markov brilliantly placed there, just moved up, glided effortlessly from 3rd to 2nd, and now on the shoulder of Kite, and has taken and stolen a march on Chirono, and a baby now at the back of that pack. This will be a real test for the 15-year-old.
Markov making a long run from home, 300 metres out, strikes first. Chirono tries to follow, doesn't look as though she's got much acceleration yet. Aissa, the best of the Ethiopians. Maureen Costa trying to hang on, but the British athlete hasn't made a decisive break here. She tried to go hard, but she's making a long run for home. Just enough acceleration to test the others. Chirono trying to hang on to her. Still just 1.5 meters between her and the lead, but Markov has a look at the screen at the far end. She can see just the two of them now. Between them, 100 meters to go. Mercy Chirono trying to find some speed in those legs of hers have carried her to great victories in the past, and there's going to be another one here. Mercy Chirono just about going to make it, but Markov trying to fight back. It's going to be tight on the line. Chirono gets it by the smallest of margins. The winning time, 8 minutes 40, and a smile and away from Chirono. Well, that will bring back some memories. The former world silver medalist at 5,000 meters almost 10 years ago. There's a big cheer for Ouaziz of Morocco as she crosses the line. Well, you've got to hand it to Morocco. She really had to go 300 meters out, trying to wind it up and trying to get away. Just couldn't quite break Chirono, who hung on, and well, the two of them fighting down the home straight. Really good battle, with Kenyan coming out on top.
Yeah, lifetime best there for Markov. A really smart race by the British runner. Aissa, the older of the two young Ethiopians, coming ahead of the 15-year-old. That's a brilliant, thrilling finish there. Just 0.03 of a second separating Chirono and Markov, who looked very comfortable, I thought. As you say, she took it out hard from a long way out, 350 meters nearly. Made her move, brilliantly placed at the bell. And Chirono, all credit to her for finding something extra just in the final 20 meters or so. But Markov coming back again, just running out of room there. And Aissa finishing in 3rd place.
Yeah, really well done by the two of them, the pair of them. A long way off Chirono's personal best, but new personal best for Emile Louise Markov. Aissa 8:41.42 in 3rd. Confirmation of the result then. A 15-year-old 8:44.82, 6th place.
So let's just dip into the women's triple jump. One of the 5 field events going on this evening. Here is Shanika Ricketts from Jamaica. World silver medalist. This is round 2. Had a no jump in the opening round. Decent on takeoff. Shanika Ricketts and Patricia Mamona from Portugal, the Olympic silver medalist, also here in a decent quality field. 14:43 with that 2nd round effort from Ricketts.
Naya Filipic from Slovenia. 2nd round. Close on the board. Oh, that's not far away. That's not far away. A little nod of the head as if to say, yeah, that was pretty good. Now, 14:43 from Ricketts. Won a silver at the World University Games a couple of years ago, right on the board, excellent there. 27-year-old. Set her personal best last year, 14:37. That's going to threaten it. Just a little bit quick on tape there. 14:42 for her. That is a new personal best by 5 centimeters. Moves to 2nd.
Men's discus still very much alive and kicking, entering the final stages. Here is Matt Denny next into the circle with his 5th round throw, looking to make the final 3. .65.55 his best. That was his opening throw. That looks to be better. Matt Denny, 4th at the Olympic Games, just outside the medals. He wasn't far off in Tokyo last summer. He just managed to retain his balance in the circle there, crucially. And this could be getting out towards lifetime best territory for Denny, the Australian. Goodness me, talk about balance and balletic qualities that these discus throwers have to have, and it was worth it, wasn't it? Goodness me, it felt that good. 67.07 for Matt Denny. That puts him up into third place.
Well, he joins the two big names, the world leader Christian Che with 69.42, the Olympic champion Daniel Stahl, and then with that new personal best, Matt Denny of Australia. So it'll be our leader to go first in the final three. These three are the only men who will get an extra throw here. So his lead, 69.42, don't forget. So he will go first. (71.27) on a chilly-ish day in Birmingham a couple of weeks ago. A lot warmer here. The wind has just dropped as well, or the breeze that there was. So final throw of the competition. Oh, that's good. Just short of the 70-meter mark. Another super throw. His best 69.42. It's got to be right up there. Let's see where this lands. Always difficult to tell. Right on the tape. Well, it is an improvement, not by so much, just short of 70 meters. 69.68. That's going to be tough to beat, even for the Olympic champion. He's next to go.
So, what has that Olympic champion, the world champion, the undisputed world leader in recent years, what has he got? Not the season that he's used to. He's used to being in pole position week after week. He put that sequence together last year of 17-odd consecutive victories. Extraordinary. Needs to find something special here. 69.68 is the mark to beat. His best effort, 67.16. Second to throw. Denny yet to come. Crowd fully engaged, dialed in. What can the big man find here? Had to settle for second in Birmingham. Will it be the same here in Rabat? Just about clears the cage. Bangs one out, and no, not to be. And Daniel Stahl, wow, not quite at that level that took him to the Olympic title only a few months ago. Karsten Warholm, who we're going to be seeing very shortly in the 400 meters hurdles, was talking about doing it is one thing, repeating it and staying and improving at that level is even harder, and that is what Stahl is finding out. He remains in second.
So just one more throw, and that will be from Matt Denny, the Australian, who's surpassed the throw that he made in the Olympic Games when he finished in fourth place. He's gone 5 centimeters further, 67.07. That puts him at the top of the rankings for the Commonwealth Games this year as well. So you'll have the Australians will have that on their mind as well. So here we go. 69 meters to beat. That's around the 65-meter mark though, and a red flag. So he takes the applause of the crowd, accepts a good evening's work. The Australian will be very happy with that personal best. But he'll remain in third place in the competition, 67 meters and 7. Stahl will take second with his 67.16 from round 2. Couldn't improve on that throughout the competition. But our winner, Christian Che, after 69.42 in round 1, went a little further in the final 3 throws here with 69.68. Confirmation of all of that. 69.68 for Shea, Stahl 67.16 and Denny 67.07.
Well, the men's 400 metres hurdles in Tokyo last summer was one of the greatest track races we've ever seen, and it's the first appearance of the season for the man who won that and broke the world record, Karsten Warholm. There we can see in lane 7. Outside him in lane 8, Jahil Hyde, twice world junior and Jamaican champion, 25 years old. His father played football for Jamaica. And so, the Olympic champion, the double world champion, he'll be going for 3 world titles in Eugene. and that extraordinary, barely credible 45.94, smashing his own world record in Tokyo last year. This is his first outing of the new season. Khalifa Rossa, look out for him, a strong finisher from the USA, third fastest in the world this year, 48.10. He will be a real challenge, you sense, for Varholm. Yasmani Capello in the shades, as always, and in the orange vest. Cuban-born, representing Turkey, 35 years old now. He goes in lane 5. Rasmus Magi, the Estonian, a two-time Olympic finalist, set a national record in the Olympic final in Tokyo last summer. He's in 4. And then two Frenchmen. Ludwig Vaillant, former French champion, won in Montreuil last week in 49.10. He goes in lane 3. And to his left, inside, Wilfred Appiau, the younger 23-year-old, the current French national champion, with the black headband in lane 2, made the semi-final in Tokyo. And completing the lineup for home fans, Saeed Hinti. Excellent reception for the 20-year-old. He's done all his racing here in Rabat, just one race outside. That was in Nairobi earlier this year. So light starting to fade here in Rabat. This race all about the return to action of Karsten Varholm, the Olympic champion, the double world champion, the world record holder. A new chapter, a new season. And don't forget, 12 months ago, in his first race of 2021, he broke the world record, 46.70, in his opening race of the season. Not suggesting for a moment he will do the same here in Rabat, but the world watching the man second from right in lane 7, his preferred lane 7. It's the one he loves to race in. Rossa from the US arm is inside, and inside him in the orange, Capello from Turkey. Men's 400 metres hurdles. Well, Varholm said he's entering a new phase of his career. It's now about how far he can push himself. And he's gone! He's gone! Now, has he pushed himself too hard? That is a shock. Varholm clutching the hamstring, the right hamstring, barely 2 barriers into the race. And meanwhile, the race unfolds. And now an opportunity opens up for the likes of Rossa and Capello. And Rossa has got the field ahead of him. He will have seen that earlier in the race. And Rossa, we mentioned he's got a very strong finish. Hyde pushing him hard. Capello has gone. Magi trying to come back at Rossa. Now, where is this lightning finish we mentioned earlier on? Just the final barrier to go. And Rossa has the field at his mercy here, getting over the line in 48.25. Goodness me. Well, he's beaten the meeting record held by Felix Sanchez, the great Felix Sanchez. Rossa takes the win, but the story against all the odds, Karsten Varholm not finishing the race, and sadly, in the very first outing of 2022, is left clutching his right hamstring.
Yeah, that's really sad to see. I hope it's not too bad, but judging by his reaction, I think that is definitely a bit of a pull. He hits his first hurdle, just watch. Yeah, clips it, and that just knocks him off balance, and just by getting knocked off balance, you're at full stride, your foot doesn't come down, you know, your leg isn't planting properly, and he's obviously tweaked. Let's hope it is just a tweak, nothing more than that. Where are we now? First week in June. We are less than 6 weeks from the World Championships. You can sometimes, for something like that, you can come back after 3-4 weeks perhaps. Yeah, that's not looking good necessarily for Karsten Varholm. But what a shame it would be if he weren't able to come to the World Championships, because this is one of the great events of the last 2-3 years, as you were saying, Chris. And he won't really know until later, tomorrow perhaps, how bad that is. I'm sure he'll try and get a scan on it. But well done, Rossa, in his absence. Yeah, well done, Rossa, taking full advantage. Magi coming home in second place. Appiau, one of the two Frenchmen, coming home in third. But with all due respect to the likes of Rossa, the story really, Varholm limping out with an ice pack on his right hamstring. Well, we saw Stefanidi sort of warming to a task earlier on, but another who's decided enough is enough. I'm not sure if that is an injury or not. She just took her shoe off pretty quickly. This happened quite a while ago. She had a first-time clearance at 4:55 after 3 attempts to get over 4:45. We saw Kennedy and Morris the only two to clear, apart from Stefanidi at that height, and then Kennedy and Morris going cleared 4:65. It was a bit of a shame. So Stefanidi walking off, deciding to save herself for better days, perhaps. Didn't want to take any risks or anything, just didn't feel it. And Kennedy similarly, although again I think it was more to do with the fact that she'd finished second with that first time clearance at 4:65. Either they've all decided, you know, it's not, conditions aren't conducive to vaulting high. Sandy Morris looked in charge right from the start, only 3 vaults earlier to win the competition, as it were. Yeah, I'm not sure what that conversation was about. Anyway, I was chatting to Sandy Morris yesterday. Everyone's been suffering travel problems, and we were talking about it, particularly around Europe. Some of you may have experienced that yourselves. Around the airports around the world. Imagine doing it with a set of poles as well. Not easy. So, Sandy Morris put the bar up to 480. This was her 3rd attempt. This would be a season's best if she were to get it. No. Well, she had a bit of a go. I think just you could see that windsock as well. We would really have to get a view from the vaulters themselves as to what conditions were like at the far end of the stadium there. But just get the feeling that wasn't helping. Wind breeze swirling around a little bit. But nonetheless, Sandy Morris was pretty dominant in the competition, if not going as high as perhaps she would have liked. Wins it with 4:65. A little fist pump between her and Nina Kennedy, the Australian, who took second. And Stefanidi, who we saw decide not to take her 3rd attempt at 4:65. She cleared 4:55 the first time, so on countback she takes 3rd spot ahead of Holly Bradshaw.
8 wins from 8 for the year for Sandy Morris. Very much the form vaulter.
Well, we've got 2 more track races yet to come, and most of the crowd are waiting to see this man, Soufiane El Bakkali, the Olympic champion. But goodness me, he raced Girma in Doha and only won by 1/100th of a second, so that rematch is about to happen in about 15 minutes from now.
Meanwhile, in the women's triple jump, Povea from Cuba next to go. 14:27 with her opening jump. It's in round 1. Ricketts leading the way. We saw 14:43 earlier on. Best effort so far. Povea and Perez Hernandez, the 2 Cubans who are challenging here. In the 3rd phase for Povea. No improvement. Pretty consistent jumping though. No improvement on 14:27. That remains her best effort. Well, the penultimate track action is a non-Diamond League event. It's the women's 800 metres, and an event which is in great hands if you look to the future, with the likes of Keely Hodgkinson and Nothing Mo as well. And we've got another 20-year-old in action here this evening. There is Seguriso from South Africa, who's starting to turn 1 or 2 heads. Only 20 years old, right of picture there, sharing a lane with Wasia from Kenya. Look out for her as well. But Seguriso is slicing huge chunks off her personal best. There is Girma as well. Lamotte, very, very popular in these parts, 28-year-old. French #1, twice European silver medalist. She's in lane 5. Mary Moraa from Kenya, again another early 20-something, former Africa Junior champion, in lane 4. Well, there we go. We've got Bell and Bello sharing the same lane. How nice is that? Alex Bell from Great Britain reached the Olympic final last year after getting a late call-up, had a brilliant games. Courier and Kolberg. And on the inside, Yorigo, who's off on pacemaking duties. Not this evening, though. It's being done by Naima Ait Alibou and Haji from Morocco, also on the inside. But a chance here for many people to see Prudence Sekoriso from South Africa for the first time. Women's 800 metres. Well, the pace required or asked for 57.50, which takes us around about 155, 156. And the world lead, Keely Hodgkinson, set in Eugene last weekend, 157.72. So again, a bit of a theme. Oh, we've got a faller there. Goodness me. Now then, there's a bit of bumping and grinding going on there.
I think it was Mawazia coming across the Kenyan, just check. I think it was her who actually went down.
She's lost about 15-20 metres and is going to have to try and work her way back into this race. There is Mourad and Sekadiso there, who's just tucking in with the long hair.
So I think this is a huge opportunity for 2-3 athletes. I'm a bit disappointed to see Alex Bell right in the middle of the group there, and Lamotte, these experienced athletes. Alex Bell trying to push her way through the middle of the pack, finding that not so easy, but might be in a good place to strike where there's so many people. Look where Lamotte is, there's pushing and there's shoving, and Correa steps out ahead of Bell, and now all of a sudden there's some space.
58 and bits at the Bell, so a little bit slower than the desired pace, but Mourad and the hugely exciting South African, the double national champion, Sekoriso there, who've got, what, 3 or 4 metres on the rest of the pack. Very upright style, Mourad, 22 years old, trains with Faith Kipyegon, and now she's starting to struggle. And Sekoriso, 4th fastest time in the world this year, looks very, very smooth and silky. Mourad with that tall, upright, very rangy style, starting to attack again, and a little bit complacent perhaps from Sekoriso. This is a thrilling finish down to the line. Brilliant recovery here from the Kenyan. Mourad gets it on the line. 1:58.94, the winning time. Really good response there from Mourad, just as it looked as though Sekoriso was going to take it for South Africa. But the theme of the evening, really, some of the younger athletes, in the absence of more household names, bigger names, an opportunity to shine. There was the unfortunate fall there of Mawazia early on, and really never recovered. Too much to make up. But Sekadiso there, who looked very relaxed coming into the final 100. But Mourad, all credit, perhaps not as relaxed and stylish as the South African, but goodness me, she did well to get the win.
Well, with 200 metres to go, you would not have said that Mourad was going to win that race. She looked spent. She, as you said, that kind of head-back action of hers, and she couldn't hold off the South African with 200 to go. So when Sekadiso went for it, you thought, that's it, really. Was there any threat from behind? No. Renelle Lamotte had left way too much to do. She'll be chastising herself for that performance. Was chasing from too far back. But Mourad, what a recovery, big personal best, great performance from her, really gutsy, dug it out down the home straight. Very, very good indeed. Big win for her. Bit of a messy race for many of the athletes, I think, is the best way of putting that.
So Mourad takes it personal best.
So back with the triple jump. So Ricketts earlier on, 14.43, Filipic 14.42. This is Mamona, Olympic silver medalist. Yeah, just coming up short there. Such a good indoor season there. Didn't pick up a medal at the indoor championships. Doha was only 6th. This doesn't look like any better of a performance from Mamona. Just a bit flat. Lacking a bit of rhythm. Yeah, not quite sure what's happening. So that first legal jump of the competition, it's only 13.86, will move her a little further up, but not much, lots to do.
Taylor Foreman from Dominica. 14:20, her best effort so far in round 3. She was early in the season leading the way in the world rankings at a really good early jump. So Lafont, here she goes, round 5, looking to improve on 14:20. Decent on the board, good hang. Now that looks better. She looks interested in that.
Yeah, really good step phase then. Set her up nicely, stayed strong into the jump. So rewarded with an excellent 14:46. Yeah, have a look at that again. She'll be pleased to see that. Really, really good performance from her. So as we head to the final 3, it'll be Filipic and Ricketts who performed well early on in round 2, just a centimetre separating those two. And Tia Lafont will be first to go. She's just taken the lead in the 5th round.
So Lafont, slightly new tweak to this year in the final 3 format. Instead of jumping in, throwing in reverse order, it's in the order in which they finished after 5 rounds. And remember, distance over all 6 rounds count. So Lafont, 14:46, the best of the evening so far. She's in pole position, and here she is with her 6th round jump. No improvement at all. So 14:46 was and still remains the mark to beat. Number 2 in the world this year, 14:53. May done in Savona in Italy. So she was waiting 2 more jumps to come. 14:46 remains the mark to beat.
It's all very tight, isn't it? 14:46. We had Ricketts here who jumped 14:43, a season's best in round 2. Only needs to find 3 centimetres to jump. So disappointed to miss out on a medal in a great competition with the Olympic Games. 14:84 she jumped and we've only given it for 4. So can she snatch this lead here right at the end? Final jump for her. 14:46 to beat. It's close on the board. Wow. Is it a legal jump? We look down on the board to see if she gets the green or the red. It's green. A valid attempt, it says. What is the distance? Must have been so close on the board. Pretty good. Looks as though it's not going to be far enough to win it, though. It's just shy, 6 centimetres shy, 14 metres 40. So she will, at the moment, remain in 2nd place, but there's only 4 centimetres separating the 3 women. Just Filipic to go from Slovenia. She's already had 1 personal best tonight. Can she do another?
Yeah, could be an absolutely wonderful evening to remember for Filipic. So just a centimetre behind Ricketts after the first 5 rounds. The target, though, 14:46. Can she add another 4, in fact 5 centimetres to go? Add that to already lifetime best achieved in round 2. Filipic will silver at the World Student Games back in 2019. Here she goes. 14:46 the target. Last jump of the evening. Really stretching, but no. She will leave, though, with a lifetime best and 3rd position. Competition, really enjoyable actually, right down in front of us. The crowd really engaged in it, really enjoying it in good conditions. And it's Tia Lafont who comes out on top of the pile, separated by just 4 centimetres, 1st, 2nd and 3rd. Just perhaps searching for it too much. 14:06 for the record. Final jump, 14:42. Lafont takes it. Good. By her beating Shanika Ricketts, the world silver medalist. It's as tight as that. Season's best, personal bests all over the place. Picture
well, the atmosphere is building because this is the race to specialists as well. And here's the man they've come to watch, the Olympic champion, hero of Moroccan athletics, Ciudad. He hasn't won here since 2017, and this is the man he has to beat. The World League this year, and El-Bakkali, that time there, that Newcastle best for the Notre Dame. It was very close to El-Bakkali's personal best, and the two of them had a brilliant race in Doha, just 100th of a second separated them. But Germa went on and ran that superb time in Ostrava. Admittedly earlier in the week he could be a little tired from that. We've got the 1, 2, 3 though from the Olympic Games, the two I've mentioned, and then this man here, Benjamin Keegan. High quality field here. The Indian athlete who's running superbly well this year, all sorts of national records for him, Sable, who's 27 and ran national record for steeplechase and the 5,000 metres this year. And then the former champion, Conseslus Kipruto, so many injuries over the last couple of years. He raced in, he's had a couple of steeplechases this year. They're the first two steeplechase races that he's completed since the Doha final in 2019, Kipruto, but it's good to see him on the way back. So the pace they've asked for is not crazy fast, which I think El-Bakkali has asked for. He doesn't want it to be so hard that he gets tested completely at his kind of personal best level, but yeah, anything below 8 minutes or thereabouts would be great. And I'm just interested to see whether Germa would like to force the pace a little bit more. I think the quicker it is, the better it is for him perhaps. But El-Bakkali always has that sprint finish, but the two of them were so closely matched in Doha. Well, the crowd are on their feet, Chris. The lights are out on the mobile phones, creating a bit of atmosphere, but you have to say I think it's getting to the pacemaker. He's gone off way too quick.
He has maybe seeing stars there, just has a little glance around. Wonderful atmosphere, it's set up beautifully, isn't it? This is the big one, El-Bakkali, the homecoming for the Olympic champion, and it's a stacked field. It really is quality all throughout. Looking forward to seeing Guillermo, who did that sub 8 minute run in Ostrava, so often the Nerli man, and Kipruto, you mentioned him. I was speaking to his manager Michel earlier today. He's switched his training base now to Nairobi. He's going well, not in sub 8 shape perhaps, but as you mentioned, just good to have two completed races, which is a rarity for him.
I'm not surprised to see Guillermo's done this. He's said, right, we need to make this hard. I need to get onto these pacemakers. I need to test El-Bakkali. I need to run as quick as I can, because I think that's the best way of beating the Moroccan. I know that if we leave it to a sprint off a slower pace, the chances certainly shift towards the Moroccan, the chances of winning shift towards the Moroccan. So Gomez will try and keep it going. Boissel just got a little bit carried away really, and I think the Kenyan will have to try and get a steadier pace going. Germa locked in behind, El-Bakkali just a stride behind him as well. Watch out for one or two others. Abraham could be one, he's having a good season as well. Ribor, the experienced American, the Indian athlete I mentioned, Sable, then Kipruto, again the Ethiopian who I think is heading for a big year as well. Already had a couple of good performances, but they're well strung out behind the two big names.
Guillermo doing exactly the right job. He's come off so many times second best to both El-Bakkali, we saw that in Doha, and then Kipruto by the width of a vest often, literally a lunge for the line. None of that. He's in brilliant form. He had a fantastic run in Ostrava, as we mentioned, and he's doing exactly the right thing. But who's behind him, lurking ominously? El-Bakkali.
That's very quick through 1,000 metres, 2:38, quicker than they'd asked for. They'd asked for 2:41. That's all down to Boissel being way too exuberant, but that's not going to disappoint any of us watching, is it? Because that sets up a quick race, particularly if Connors can keep this going, can keep it going for another couple of laps, and then will Germa make it a long run for home? El Bakkali looks comfortable at the minute, sitting behind the Ethiopian. The two of them still look to be just looking to edge away from the rest of the field here, but they're hanging on as much as they can. Kabiwat and Hilary Ball closest. The crowd getting more and more excited. I don't know if they realise how quick they're running as well. This isn't just about who wins this, although for them that is all that matters. They want to see their Olympic champion winning on home soil.
Just keeping half an eye on Kipruto there, the slightly smaller figure left of picture there, working his way through the field. He's not expected to win this race, but he's looking pretty good given the torrid last couple of years that he's had, just moving up into 4th place behind El Bakkali.
Looks to me as though it's slowed a little bit there, and the rest of the field just bunching up a little behind the two big names. Girma just letting a little bit of a gap develop between him and the pacemaker. Lets him stride out into that barrier, gives himself a little bit of space. He's looking up at the screen to see what's happening. Others are looking up to the stars, perhaps, to see perhaps if they can predict what's going to happen. El Bakkali with Kipruto following him. Tindoufta's moved up a little bit closer as well, but Kipruto, Hilary Ball to gain. Kabiwat all still in with chances of good quick times because they've set off at a good pace, although it has slowed slightly.
Just wonder how much the efforts in Ostrava just a few days ago are still in the legs of Girma. El Bakkali hasn't raced since Doha, remember, so he's had a couple of weeks off to be fresh for today. Such a big occasion for him.
Well, if you think the crowd are booing, I'm pretty sure they're not, because they were making this sort of noise earlier on. It's kind of their way of creating a bit of atmosphere, and then the cheers come. So it's Girma from El Bakkali, but there is a definite gap to the pacemaker here, and Girma either needs to latch onto this and trust himself, but I think you're right, surely that run in Ostrava has got to be in his legs at some point. It's the last 1,000 metres where he will find out whether or not he's still got that energy. He likes to give himself a good sight of the barriers, and he's doing that pretty well. Again, as I've mentioned him 2-3 times, has moved into 3rd place. Pacemaker steps off, 5:25 at 2, so that's a lot slower for the 2nd kilometre.
Well, this is shaping up to be, this could be another absolutely thrilling finish, the perfect race. The scheduler's got this absolutely right. Tagain is catching the eye, he's on the coattails of El Bakkali, and Kipruto has just slipped down the field, now back in 6th place.
2 laps to go, and it's building up. The crowd are getting excited because it's Girma against El Bakkali. Tagain is trying so hard to try and hang on to these two, but they're only going to get quicker over the last 600 metres. And the way this has shaped out, if Girma can't really start to stretch this, you just think that El Bakkali's confidence will be starting to grow. I think they're both a little bit tired here, but that race in Ostrava could be in the legs of Girma. He looks fairly relaxed. He's looking at the screen. He will not be surprised to see El Bakkali a stride and a half behind him.
Well, he created a bit of history. First Ethiopian in Ostrava. First Ethiopian to go sub 8 minutes. It's a real landmark in this event, but still El Bakkali on his shoulder. And don't forget, El Bakkali has a 3:31 personal best for 1,500 metres.
Tagain could be heading for a personal best here. He ran 8 minutes and 7 in Ostrava behind Girma. And he's hanging on to the top 2 as they come round. This barrier will be the last one next time round. They're going to hear the bell. You can hardly hear yourself here. They are screaming for El Bakkali. They're worried, they're concerned, because there's a 2-3 metre gap, because Girma's winding it up early.
Well, Girma will taste the opportunity here. Ostrava he won just a few days ago. He's always come off 2nd best against El Bakkali, and now El Bakkali up on the shoulder.
Girma is not giving away easy here. El Bakkali is struck down the back straight. Is it early for him? Because Girma's hung on to him and he kicks off that barrier. You can see his tactic here. I'm going to work up these barriers and accelerate away. What a jump there. Girma closes again. These two are so finely matched. Nothing between them. 1.5 meters. They are screaming their hero over the last barrier. Can he take it okay? He gets there. Girma's got nothing else to give. El Bakkali's going to come away. It's going to be a wonderful victory, and look at the time! What a performance in front of his home crowd. Under 8 minutes. El Bakkali, the Olympic champion. If he wasn't a hero already in Morocco, he certainly is now. A meeting record, but the win was so important. He's only just missed his personal best by just over a tenth. Well done to Germer as well, made it a great race. Look at how much that has taken out of him. I think as much as anything else, the stress of having all of these people come to watch you, the expectation from the home crowd, all of that, he can now say, yep, I did it. The relief must be palpable. But what a time. Great last 300.
Thrilling race. Left the best till last, and El Bakkali, he's absolutely box office. A lovely embrace there with Kipruto. So many great rivalries, and when you think, Steve, that this man El Bakkali, after the Olympic title, he was spiked, wasn't he? He had a terrible fall in Paris, and he left on a stretcher. He had stitches in both hands, and he was taken to hospital where he had to be patched up. And here he is, first race back on home soil. The crowd absolutely behind him. Wonderful finale. In the press conference, talking confidently, said, yes, I feel the pressure. But these are wonderful scenes here in the Moroccan capital. And what a time. We don't often see El Bakkali go under 8 minutes. Hasn't happened very often.
No, as I said, very close to his personal best. And there'll be some party in Rabat tonight. Well, that's it. Perhaps saved the best to last. He lived up to all of the expectations. Great win for El Bakkali. Been a good meeting here in Rabat as the darkness descends. The noise here is absolutely incredible. And he's gone straight up to meet all of the dignitaries who all want to be seen congratulating their great hero, and why not? A world lead. Very close to his personal best, 7:58.28. Another wonderful performance from Gearman, second place. A new personal best by another second or so from Tegain in third place. And a welcome return from Kipruto again. Solid fourth from him.
Well, he is sporting royalty here in Morocco, and with good reason.
Well, what a way to end. And it's been 3 years since the Diamond League came to Rabat. So good to see it back. Great crowd in the stadium. They've been thoroughly entertained.